What's up YouTube? Joe here. Today we're going to be talking about my 5 top baits to throw in the fall to winter transition up here in New England. Number 1 is going to be my favorite bait of all time, the jackhammer. Most of my lakes around here, the predominant bait is perch and bluegill. So the green pumpkin jackhammer does a great job of mimicking bluegill. So you can get bit on it. If you ever need a bite, you're struggling, wind a jackhammer around, you'll find a bite. A few of the lakes I fish have alewives in them, and I found a scenario the other day where I found usually the alewives are out super deep, or as deep as the lake can get. If it's 40 foot of water, they'll be in 40 foot of water. If it's 20 foot, they'll be in 20 foot. But I found a couple big schools of alewives that were pushed into shallow pocket in about 7 to 10 feet of water. So I was throwing baits to mimic. I was throwing a finesse spinnerbait, little swim bait, stuff to mimic the alewives, and I kept catching perch and 8-inch bass. So I was thinking, like, all right, gotta change something here. Put on a jackhammer, and within a half hour I caught a couple of nice bass. A few hours later I caught one over 5 and just caught more bites, and the size of the bite improved significantly. So what I think was happening was the smaller bait fish, the perch, the bluegill, the crappie, and the really small bass had pushed these alewives into this pocket. And then the bigger fish came behind them to eat the perch, the bluegill, and the crappie. So once I threw on the jackhammer, the bite picked up, the size got bigger, and I ended up having a pretty good day. So as long as they're still chasing bait, you can't go wrong with a jackhammer. I generally use 2 different trailers on the jackhammer, the Hog Farmer Spunk Shad and the Yamamoto Zako. This time of year it's all about bait fish, so I'm sticking with that Yamamoto Zako to mimic that bait fish profile. I mainly go green pumpkin jackhammer with a green pumpkin Zako, although the other day, the day I was just talking about, it was rainy, cloudy, gloomy. It was a very dark day. So I wanted to darken my green pumpkin jackhammer a bit. So I put on the I put on the black, blue, green pumpkin laminate Zako. So it's black, blue on the top, and the bottom half is green pumpkin. You can see that. It darkens up the jackhammer, creates a little contrast, and it seemed to produce a lot of bites. So I don't know if I used a green pumpkin, if the bites would have been the same, but that's where my mind went, and it worked. So it was a good day. Number 2, another moving bait. It's going to be a lipless crankbait. There's a couple different ones that I use this time of year. I use this red-eye shad, as you can see. Let me see here. The thing is bait to crap. I've been using this one the past few weeks. Like I said, it seemed like the bigger bass were eating the perch and the bluegill, so threw this in a perch pattern. You can throw it in a bluegill pattern, but this perch pattern's been producing awesome. And I haven't quite figured out why, but one day it'll be this thing will get all the bites, the lipless, and I can't get a bite on a jackhammer. And then the next day I'll be getting all my bites on a jackhammer, and I can't find a bite on a lipless. So you got to have them both tight on, alternate back and forth, see which one's the deal for the day. But the other lipless I'll use this time of year is a Storm Arashi Vibe, and the reason why I use both of them is because this is a 1/2 ounce, the red-eye shad is a 1/2 ounce, the Arashi Vibe is, I think it's 5/8, but it's a little heavier, so it gets a little bit deeper. So if the grass is a little deeper and I want to make sure I'm taking the top of it, I'll go with the Arashi Vibe. If the fish are up shallower and I don't want to get it buried in the grass, go with the red-eye shad. Both are great baits, but they're strictly chuck and wind baits. I don't yo-yo these baits, or at least the red-eye shad I do not yo-yo. The front hook will get fouled up all the time. Change your retrieve speed, a few jerks, whatever, but it's pretty much a chuck and wind bait. If it's the winter, in another month or so and you need a yo-yo bait, you can switch to like the LV500 or the Jackal TN70. But right now, for the last few weeks and then the next few weeks going forward, when they're up still chasing bait, it's either a red-eye shad or an Arashi Vibe. All right, number 3, the jerkbait. Jerk baits you can use from now all the way through the dead of winter. You can vary your retrieve speed. You can make it a fast working bait. You can work it super slow. You can get a suspending jerk bait, a slow rise, a slow sink. There's so many different types. But I'm a kayak fisherman, so I can't have everything. I do have a lot of tackle on my kayak, but I try to keep it to as much of a minimum as I can. So I don't have 6 different brands of jerk baits or 6 different brands of this or that. I find a few that I like and I generally stick with them. So for the jerk baits, it's going to be the Vision 110. It's going to be the Vision 110. If I need to go a little deeper, the Vision 110 plus 1. And then I'll also throw the Rapala Shad Wrap Deep. If I'm ever fishing a jerkbait shallow, it's pretty much exclusively the Vision 110. Mostly in this color here, it's pearl blue. It's pretty translucent with the blue back. It's awesome. If it's cloudier and I need to go a little deeper, I like this matte shad color. Works well too. And then if the sun's shining and you want a lot of flash, Mossback Shiner in the Rapala Shad Wrap Deep. This one, it's got a little bit fatter body, and this one's a slow riser, I think. Yeah, this one's the slow riser. So all 3 of those work really well. I mean, the Vision 110s are the standard. I mean, fish will come a long ways to hit a jerkbait, especially when you find the right cadence of, how long to pause it. You can vary the cadence up from jerk, jerk, pause, or jerk, jerk, and pause for 5-10 seconds. You can vary your timing between jerks, so just jerk, jerk, instead of 2 quick jerks. I mean, there's so many different ways you can retrieve the bait, so experiment with it until you find what's working, and then stick with that retrieve. Number 4 is going to be a swim bait. The 2 I like the most are the Storm Largo Shad, especially in this perch pattern here. This perch pattern's awesome for where I live up in New England. Lots of perch around here. And I'll also use the Strike King Rage Swimmer. I stick with those 2 because they're super versatile. They're great swim baits by themselves, but they're also great trailers for a spinnerbait, for a swim jig, even a jackhammer if you prefer a swim bait type trailer. You can throw them on a weedless swim bait head, you could throw it on an underspin, you can throw it on a regular swim bait. You can fish it along the bottom, you can fish it up high. I mean, they're so versatile, you can do so many different things with them. They go anywhere, they can fish it anywhere, in any type of cover, any type of water. But as the water starts to cool down, I'm slow crawling these on the bottom, just dragging them, making, just enough so the tail's kicking a bit. And that seems to produce bites when the bite gets really slow and the fish are hunkered down. All right, number 5, last but not least, the jig. You can get bit on a jig any time of year, any type of water, any type of cover, docks, laydowns, weeds, lily pads. I mean, rocks, you can fish these things anywhere. But this time of year, I'm using it to crawl along the bottom, especially through rocks. While I do have some football jigs, my favorite jig, hands down, is this Stealth Fighter Outcast tungsten jig. It's that Arky style head. So it comes through grass, it can come through rocks, you can flip docks with it. It's a versatile jig, so I don't have to have 7 different types of jig on my kayak. I use this one strictly, pretty much exclusively in this color, which is called Money Craw. I got a few of them in black blue if the water's really murky. And then I generally throw a Strike King Rage Craw on the back of it. If I want to add a little color to it, want a little orange or whatnot, you can throw the Rage Craw in the Alabama Craw color. As the water gets even colder and the bite gets a little tougher, you can go to the Finesse Jig. I use this little Kitech Finesse Jig. I think it's a size 2 hook. It's a super small hook. I throw this on a medium fast bait cast rod, 12-pound test, usually braid to leader, and I throw the net bait packet chunk on this one. I've been recently trying the Berkeley Max Scent Chigger Craw in the 3-inch, which works really well with this too. So I get this jig in green pumpkin and dark green pumpkin, and then I get this Stealth Fighter and this Money Craw in black blue. And then you can get a couple different types of trailers. You know, I get a green pumpkin trailer for each one, and then I'll get a green pumpkin orange trailer for each one. And then you get your bases covered. You can fish those anywhere. If you're fishing pretty much primarily rocks, you can get this same jig with a football head, if that's your jam. I fish everything. My lakes have rocks, weeds, whatever, so I try to stick to these Arky style heads that are good for everything. All right, that's going to do it for the 5 baits. Make sure to have those tied on this time of year, and you will get bit. Good luck out there, guys. Catch some bigs.